So here's the question. What are the principles or wickets you try to hit as parents with your kids? These are the things I need to teach them. I need to equip them to understand, to learn, to whatever. This is what I'm after. Because, and here's why I asked that question. Because you're right. Some people can't homeschool for one reason or another, or just like they can't get their brain around even the idea of what that would look like. Right. Or some parents say, well, we're going to homeschool and then they're going to turn out right. That's not the answer either. Yep. We need to sacrifice and do what we can to get our kids into a Christian school because the school will teach them right and they'll be right, or whatever your thing is. And I feel for parents that are just looking at, their situations, and they've got kids and we'll do anything we can. We'll move if we have to, we'll sacrifice. But sometimes the answer is get them in a different environment. And I just don't think that's the answer. Yeah. The different environment should serve the purpose that you as mom and dad have decided to pursue. So the principles that you've laid out, these are the things we're trying to accomplish. The environment then should serve that and not the other way around. When you think about those things, what are those things? If I can teach my kids these 5 things, 6 things, 3 things, whatever it is, then we will have done what we came here to do.
Yeah, great question. And just to kind of just pile on with what you're saying, if you hide from the world, if you hide from all of those bad environments, some of those environments like the college environment, it's not the real world anyway. You don't owe the world anything by putting your kids there.
Sure.
No, but the fact is, Doug Wilson makes a really good point that you could go off into the wilderness of Montana and homeschool your kids, and you'd find that they brought Adam with them in their heart.
All of the sin nature follows them.
it follows you wherever you go. So there is no retreat far, remote enough to get us away from the Adam that resides in all of us. Yeah. Which is why you're exactly right. We can't just be like, well, I'll just remove all the bad influences and then my kids will be fine, because they actually won't be. They'll find all kinds of creative ways to be sinful. And that's why it really comes down to a mindset of dominion. We would say, I don't need to take dominion over the public school because it's actually not loving to my child to put them in harm's way when they're not fully equipped. So a kindergartner cannot be trained fully enough to go up against their teacher who is, 4 times as big as them and 4 times as old as them. And like, there is no training that can get a 6-year-old ready for that kind of battlefield. So it's really just not loving to put them in a government school situation like that. So it is good to avoid certain environments, but the fact is we have to take dominion over whatever environment we are in.
That's right.
And so one of the primary things that benchmark for my kids is that I want to pass on the idea that, Lord's Day worship is the pinnacle of the week. It's the thing that we're kind of either looking back towards or we're looking forwards towards, but the world centers around that cyclical pattern of the worship of God. God calls us into his presence once a week. He calls us into his presence. We are in his presence, and so we recognize we're sinful and we confess our sins. And then he consecrates us. He changes us through the singing of psalms and the hearing of the word preached. And then he communes with us. He feeds us the body and blood of his son. And then he commissions us back out into the world. And so then we are equipped to go back out into the world and continue to just like the Great Commission says, go and disciple all the nations and see the world of heaven, to see the realities of heaven brought down to earth. That would be like the number one thing that is most important. Mm-hmm. If a parent only did one thing, and that was the thing they did, I would find that to be a tremendous win. Because as Christians, oftentimes we think of church as being, you go if you have time, you go if you like the people, we're on vacation, so we're not going to go to church today. It's like, no, I teach my kids when we're on vacation, we find a different body of believers to worship with, because the family of God is huge. So that's one thing. Another thing that is a huge metric for us. This is a somewhat of might seem like somewhat of an odd one, but just how do my kids relate not only to one another, but to people they don't know very well, or to adults or younger kids? Are they able to look someone in the eye and say, hello, hello, Mr. Stalnecker. My name is Jack. I'm 11 years old. Nice to meet you. And a firm handshake with eye contact.
Yeah.
Can they do that? Because that's one of the things that life is made up of. Can you say yes, sir, and give people, or are you so unbelievably shy and withdrawn that you can't even like interact with the world? You're so overcome by anxiety that you're not allowed to, you don't allow yourself to do that. That's like a huge one. Parents need to recognize that it actually is if your kids are shy, that's something that you just need to work with them on. It's a lot of kids are just naturally shy, and they just need you as their parent to teach them how to get over their whatever anxious thoughts they might have. It's not inherently sinful to be shy. It's just something that you want to improve in your life. But then also just there's of course like the subjects. Can they read well? Are they able to spell? Can they do math, science, those kinds of things? But one of the big things in the classical education world, which is what my wife and I are in heavily, is are you teaching them how to learn? Not just how to regurgitate information on a test, but are you teaching them how to learn and how to love to learn? And that would be another just like very big, that applies to so many different things. Would be just teaching them how to learn and how to love to learn would be some very broad level things we would be focusing on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Having those in mind, it allows you to make educated decisions about what to do with your kids, right? And even sometimes I think for some parents, it's having very difficult conversations with your kids. Look, this is not our number one choice, but this is where we are. Yep. And here's what we need for you to understand. And it's all of the things that you just outlined. And I think that's, it's so helpful. And just being honest with your kids about all that. We're not trying to, we're not great parents. None of us have this figured out, right? We have the Bible, we're doing our best, and we have other parents and other people, and we can read books and all the rest. But at the end of the day, our kids know we're not perfect, but they also need to know what we're trying to accomplish, I think. And that changes the whole conversation.
Well, and parents need to be absolutely unashamed in teaching their own children that to honor them. That the fifth commandment, honoring your mother and father, when you honor your mother and father, not only does God bless you mightily for that, but you're honoring God. And if you are not willing to teach your children that part of being in this family is that you're going to honor your mother and father, not just me either, but you're going to honor your grandfather, you're going to honor your spiritual fathers, you're going to take that fifth commandment very seriously. And you are going to live a life of respect and honor of those who have gone before you. There really is if you're not willing to do that, then essentially you're not even believing those commands of God yourself. Like if I ever have to discipline one of my children for dishonoring their mom, I have to tell them, if I don't discipline you for this, God's going to discipline me because I'm responsible for you. And this is in his law. You got to honor your mom just as you would honor the Lord. And if you don't do that, then it would be unloving for me to let you get away with that. So, but parents have to have a certain level of self-confidence to know this is what we're supposed to do. And I don't have to worry like that I'm somehow serving myself by doing that.